Hi and welcome to this week's video. I hope to tidy up a few bits and pieces, some block work, gussets and things like that in the forward fuselage, and hopefully get the tail sorted out a little bit more. Not sure what else I might get up to, but join me, let's see how we get on. Well, in keeping with the theme for this week, which is going to be tidying up the various other little bits and pieces, I've drilled the threaded portion on the rudder pedal for the slotted nut, the thin slotted nut, so that split pin can go through. And we've got the bushing there to go around the thimble for the cable. Okay, so some of the additional block work's in at the bottom here, the top up here. These need to be trimmed off a little bit. Gussets to be made up for the tops up here. Gussets to be put into here, they're to be made up. There'll be a gusset top here and bottom here. No blocks needed. It's got enough triangulation and bits going there. It's not taking a huge strain. More of the strain's coming through at the back face here. Blocks are in on the rear of the front spar carry through. Not doing the fronts because I'm going to be using a jig to hold the spar mounting bracket to the right height for the initial drilling at the front. Block work in here. This is to have a gusset pot on it. Block work up here. Gussets to go on here later, but I'm going to deal with that after I've got this section up here sort of worked out for engine mounts, possible removal of this. There's a lot of bits and pieces to happen up here, so I'll make up those gussets later in the show. Not this week, that'll be probably next month. Hey ho, we're getting there. So getting lots of bits and pieces slowly tidied up. I've put in the gussets here and there. Up here, these two gussets here are not ones which would normally be fitted. If you remember, I put the plywood bulkhead on the rear of this section to gain, that'll be a 3/4 of an inch length for me. So this cross piece here would normally be mounted on the top there. I'll just put those in. They're not adding a great deal of weight, but it does add a bit of strength. And I may well be putting on some sort of lifting piece supports for where the shoulder harness is going over the top. I'm not quite sure yet. I'll have to have a little think about that. And then I've got the gussets in at both sides in there, so that's all sort of finished off. Just getting the odds and ends sorted. And we've already seen we've got the blocks in the corners. I've got those blocks there ready to go in on the front edge of this spar carry through, but they're not going in until I've marked up the height line and made up a jig to make sure that the spar fixing is kept at the right height on both sides when I actually do the wing fitment, and drill holes for that lot, and then we'll be working bits out on the back face here. So my next little bit of job that I want to do, because I'm trying to tidy things up a bit and finish some things off, is I'm going to mark up the center position here for the rear tailplane mounting, and I'm going to mark a center line, and I'm going to mark up so that the bushing will miss the longitudinal longeron, and so I want to maintain that strength path going through there. Going through here, there's so much wooden strength for the lateral strength section, it's not going to be affected, especially when you consider the bolts going through the top of the tailplane. We'll come down, we'll have a penny washer underneath which will spread the load across to this longeron with a nut underneath. So I'm just using a drill guide to drill through to make sure everything's perpendicular. As you can see, it's clamped there. I'll just put the drill bit down to make sure it's on the mark I've got, clamp this down, and then that makes it perpendicular, as close as perpendicular as I can assure. Going through, drill right the way through to the other side, and that's it, ready for bushing. So I've already done the back end here the one on the far side, just finishing off here, and I'll do the rear horizontal stabilizer one for here and get the bushing in. Now I can put the whole thing on, ream this and ream the tailplane one. I can actually put a bolt through, and then we can do something about making sure that we've got the tailplane square before drilling, going back up through here to mark the tailplane from the underside through the bushing to start off with. Then I can up drill that and put bushings in. Okay, just going to put the ream through here. Just cleaning out the hole and just running the ream through. Now I've got a ratcheting top. You should always turn a ream in the same direction, all the time. So I've got the ratchet, just helps when I'm dealing with that. There we go, it's got through now. So, and keep turning it in the same direction as you pull it out. There we go. So that's reamed. That's reamed. These two here have yet to be reamed. They'll get done once I've got the bushings into the front end of the tailplane. So let's, first off, I want to get the back end clamped in. You'll see that in a second. Okay, to help get everything squared up, I've got a nail stuck into that piece of wood, which by right shouldn't be there, but I've got it there. So I'm going to utilise that going back to measure the tips of the tailplane too, to make sure that we've got it square to the fuselage. Okay, so let's I'm just going to try and make sure this is square with the centre line of the fuselage. I've aligned the centre with the sort of centre position across the that front mount with the centre line, which I've already got drawn on the tailplane from when I built it. Now hopefully it shouldn't be too far out. So I've got this stainless steel wire here, and I'm going to a datum. I'll show you the datum in close up in a moment, I think. So we put that piece of wire, bend it over there. So I've now got a bend in that position. My arms aren't quite long enough, so I'll get them round. So hopefully this will meet up in exactly the same place on here. Well, I'll be blessed. It's absolutely spot on first time. I believe that. I'll double check. It's just not. That is just not what I expected at all, but not to be that accurate. Yeah. Well, there we go then. So the distance from here to the nail at the front on each side is exactly the same. I'll show you where I'm using as a datum to make it on the tailplane, make everything as equal as I can. So let's just drag you across. So the datum point I'm using is where that laminated bow meets up with the rear spar, because that should be the same on both ends, as near as damn it is to swearing. It's no good going out to a point here. It's no good using the gussets, because they might not be exactly right. That is the same on both sides. Going up to the nail at the very front end there, and I've just got that clamped. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a drill going from the bottom up to mark the bottom of the horizontal stabilizer tailplane there. as I can't get a drill in, I'm just doing it by hand. I just need the mark. I'm using a brad bit, so it should produce a nice little centre mark there. And then I'll use a brad bit to actually drill out. I'll put the centre of the brad bit in onto that mark so it's at the right size. Okay, so my method, I've got this this drill guide. I'm just going to put the drill through. I'm putting the brad point into the hollow made with the by doing it by hand. I'm clamping this down now. Take the drill bit out. Stick it in, and then I can drill straight through. Just double check. Yeah, that's right. I'll do the same to this one. Okay, so I've reamed the holes through, going from the bottom up because the lower sections have been reamed, so I went through from the bottom up to ream the actual tailplane section. The bolts are now in. I've just lightly tightened them, and we've got a reading of zeros there, and the datum on the main spar carry through is 0. Just checking across here to my little datum point, and that is still good there, so it should be in theory good to the other side. Just triple check, I suppose. Where I wish my workshop was just a little bit bigger. Yep, so it's square. We've got the blocks all sorted out, or the majority of the blocks sorted out in the forward section of the fuselage. We've got this little lot sorted out, so that's completed. Next bit, I suppose, to start thinking about will be getting the elevator sorted. So I'd like to get the elevator control system worked out, where I need an access hole for the push tube and that to go through. So there's a little bit of work there, and I also wanted to get going a little bit on the brake pedals and see what I can construct that way. So we'll see what we get up to next week. Bye now, look after yourselves. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.